So first of all, hello and welcome to this round of the Dynamic Racing League. We are more than halfway through the season already. Last time out, apart from the fact that Alpmutke has really upped his game in qualifying and he is now in the lead of the Pole Trophy fight, Alpmutke has got 6 pole positions while Matt only 5. Apart from that, Lucas LA last time out was able to take a pretty unpredictable win. After that, Matt and Calzo fought for the win throughout the whole race. They had multiple fights and Matt was able to take the lead at the very end of the race. After that, Calzo was in the lead for almost the whole length of the race, but in the end they both had a penalty and Lucas LA was close enough to benefit from that. So Lucas LA unexpectedly won the race without ever being in the lead. So that was a pretty weird way to win the race. But penalties are also part of the race. So we have most of the drivers on track. Silverstone is one of the races you look forward to all year. The track also had a massive layout change in 2010. I personally prefer the old layout, which was more intense, the one that was used until 2009, but it's always a very special track and very fun to drive. So Alpmutke is already on a flying lap and he is using soft tires. This is a pretty tricky corner where you need to have a wider line on the entry, then you have to cut on the inside to have a better exit, and it's pretty easy to get wrong because you have to be patient on the throttle. It's one of those cases where being too eager on the throttle is not faster. So Alpmutke is now approaching the final part of the track. This is where Sector 2 ends. Now Sector 3 starts. And we will see what lap time Alpmutke gets. It's his first lap, but he is already on soft tires, so we'll see what tires the other drivers decide to use. Alpmutke sets a 1.24 and 500ths. Spike is on medium tires. He usually likes to start from the back to avoid being in the group. It's easier to start at either at the front or at the very back rather than in the middle of the group where most of the collisions happen. So Alpmutke in the lead. Also Chris Agerbo got very close to Alpmutke, but not enough, not fast enough to actually take the provisional pole. So Alpmutke still stands on pole. Then Lucas LA, Scaife Bake and Unuflo driving for McLaren. Now Lucas LA, the other McLaren driver, up in 4th place. Let's see where Spike places his car. He's up in 6th place, faster than Unuflo, also faster than Ryan Kay, who just completed the lap. And now Matt is on medium tires. Matt has decided to leave the garage on medium tires. Yellow flag in sector 1, 2 and 3. There is Unuflo out of the session. I saw a McLaren on the grass. I'm not sure whether that was a crash or he just decided to leave the session. But anyway, it's always the same story. Matt most of the time leaves the garage on medium tires at the beginning of the session, then he can decide to switch to a different strategy later in the session. So Matt has started his qualifying lap. Of course, he probably is not going to take pole, but we can see how close he gets to Alpmut K, and then we can estimate how closer he can get on soft tires. Very aggressive on the inside. This is the corner I was talking about. He has a wider line on the entry, then he is patient on the throttle and waits to cut on the inside. He had a pretty difficult moment on the exit and nearly lost control of his car. That might have cost him a 10th, but let's see how this lap is going to end. He is now at the final chicane, almost a chicane. So Matt completes his qualifying lap, and he is only 5th. Matt is only 5th on medium tires. So this means that he would be starting in the middle of the group. So Matt between Lucas LA for McLaren and Scaife Bake for AlphaTauri. Matt was 9/10 of Alpmut K, so that could be very difficult gap to close, and Alpmut K is on another flying lap, still on soft tires. Looks like he really wants to start on pole position. Alpmut K is in the final corner, so let's see what lap time he gets. Is it gonna be a further improvement? Yes, it is. Alpmut K finds another 2/10ths, so this puts the other drivers 4/10ths away. Spike has switched to soft tires, but he was pretty good on medium tires. He is in 8th. So Spike on the final straight. I didn't see whether he improved or not, or whether that was an outlap, but he is still driving on the limit, so he probably is going to complete this qualifying lap. And when there is no time left, Matt decides to retire from the session. So Matt in the end decided to switch to soft tires, but he probably felt that he wasn't fast enough to improve significantly, or maybe he just decided to start the race on medium tires. But that means that Matt will be starting in 7th place. So Matt will be starting in the middle of the group, while Alpmut K has got I think I might have been wrong before. Maybe this is Alpmut K's 6th pole. Yes, Alpamut K gets his 6th pole position, 2 pole positions in a row. He got pole at Austria, now at Britain. He also got pole at Canada, Monaco, Netherlands and Vietnam. So Alpamut K really has upped his game in qualifying. The only other driver to get a pole was Jayor. Now we have Alpamut K at 6 and Matt at 5, while the only other driver to manage to break their domination in qualifying was Jayor, but he isn't in the league anymore because he said he wasn't enjoying the game anymore. And another good performance from Calzo, up in 2nd place after that he nearly won his first race at Austria. So this is always the moment we wait for. The lights are beginning to come on. Alpamut K on pole position. Let's see if he gets off the line well. Alpamut K looks like he got a solid start. Calzo is trying to attack on the inside, and Calzo is in the lead. He was in the lead for a very short moment, but Alpamut K around the outside, and Alpamut K keeps the lead. So Alpamut K had a solid start. This is another aspect that he probably has worked hard on, because he was pretty bad at starts. Let's see also if there is a safety car at the beginning of the race, because most of the time there's always some incident. So let's see if there is a safety car. We are seeing Matt in the middle of the group. He is behind Jamie James, driving for Renault. So Alpamut K managed to take the lead, to keep the lead. Then Calzo, then Chris Agerbo, then Lucas LA, the last winner in the Dynamic Racing League. Then Jamie James and Matt stuck behind Jamie James, and we saw a collision in real time. It was Ryan K. Pretty violent dynamic, but Ryan K didn't have any compromising damage. He just has a broken front wing, so he can continue the race. He's now going to pit, but that might have gone differently, because he might have retired. It was a pretty violent dynamic. So this is one of the longest pit lanes, so Ryan K is going to lose a lot of time. This is also his first race in a very long time, so this is not the kind of return that he was hoping for. But it has to be said that Ryan K is very hot-headed, so he always takes risks, and that's what happens when he is on track. So Ryan K, if I'm not mistaken, decided to switch to hard tires. So Ryan K on hard tires, visual safety car deployed. The other Mercedes is out of the race. The other Mercedes is out of the race. It's CH. He probably just decided to retire. So virtual safety car still deployed, Alpamut K in the lead, and that doesn't help his strategy, because he needs to create a gap. So Alpamut K in the lead, then Calzo already has a penalty. Probably corner cutting, because it's easy to exceed the track limits on this game. This track also is particularly difficult for this kind of thing, because there is a lot of corners where you need to use every inch of the track to be faster. So Calzo opens DRS, and you see the other drivers pretty close to Alpamut K. Calzo all over the back of Alpamut K. Both are on soft tires. So Alpamut K in the lead at the beginning of the fourth lap, then Calzo, then Chris Agerbo, then Matt. Matt is up in fourth place. Looks like Alpamut K isn't fast enough to pull away. Calzo also was pretty quick in qualifying, so that is not completely surprising. So Onuflo, Spike, and Lucas now are leaving the pits. So Lucas, Spike, and Onuflo changed their strategies. Spike is on soft tires. I missed what happened because I can't keep an eye on everyone. So this is Matt. Matt has gained 3 places since the start, because he qualified the 7th, and now Matt is in 4th place. So Alpumut K, Calzo, Cla-ita-ACC and Matt now doesn't have any traffic in front of him. There is Cla-ita-ACC a few seconds ahead of Matt. So we'll see how fast Matt is, because he doesn't have any traffic. He is now pushing on medium tires, because Alpumut K is on soft tires, and the Alpumut K needs to be faster because he needs to create a gap. He doesn't need to be ahead of Matt after that Alpumut K stops, but he needs to create a gap, because at the end Matt will be on soft tires while Alpumut K will be on slower tires. So this is Alpumut K, and Calzo still all over the back of Alpumut K. So Calzo really is fast. And like I said before, Calzo was also very fast in qualifying, so that is not a complete surprise. Now Calzo can open DRS, and Alpumut K needs to defend. Actually, Alpumut K didn't try to defend because Calzo wasn't close enough, but Calzo decides to stop. Calzo decides to stop. It's only the 5th lap, so this might be a sign that the soft tires don't really last very long around Silverstone. Of course, every track... No, this is not a stop. This is not a stop. Calzo had a penalty, so the penalty we saw on the screen was not a 3-second time penalty, where the kind of penalty you get when you cut the corners, but he actually got a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure why. Maybe you got the message on the screen. So Calzo got a drive-through penalty, and that will really hurt his race. Drive-through penalty for Calzo, and I'm not sure what he did. Maybe something under a virtual safety car. So this means that now Matt is up in 3rd place. So Alpumut K, Cla-ita-ACC and Matt already up in 3rd place. King in the pits on the 9th lap, and Alpumut K also is back to the pits. Alpumut K and King back to the pits, 2 of the main stars of the league, and Alpumut K leaves the garage on medium tires. Alpumut K leaves the garage on medium tires. Also King back to the pits as well, and he has the very same strategy as Alpumut K, and this is Matt. Now Matt is on the same tires as Alpumut K. Matt nearly lost control of his car there. He's pushing on the limits because he wants to close the gap. So Matt now is on the same tires as Alpumut K. Of course, Alpumut K is going to be faster because he just pitted a while ago. So Alpumut K will be on fresher tires. But now Matt really needs to push because he will be on soft tires at the very end. But at the same time he needs to control the tire, to save the tires, to extend the stint. Alphamut K now in traffic. He opens DRS and completes the overtake pretty easily. So Cla-ita-ACC pitting, and pretty much everyone has the same strategy, because Cla-ita-ACC switches to medium tires too. So Alphamut K rejoins the track. Well, he already was on track, but Alphamut K is ahead of Cla-ita-ACC. After that, Cla-ita-ACC rejoins the track. So Cla-ita-ACC behind Alphamut K after the stop, and there is a good amount of track between them. So Spike has got close to Ryan K after a pretty good qualifying. Now Spike is down in 12th place on hard tires, because he pitted when those three drivers were in the pit lane at the same time. Now Spike is on hard tires, and we'll see if he gets to the end. But now he looks definitely quicker than Ryan K. Ryan K lucky to be in the race after that violent crash where he was actually T-boned, but the game decided to make his car a ghost when he spun in the middle of the track, but he was actually T-boned. So Ryan K very lucky to be in the race, which might have ended on the very first lap for him. And now Spike completes the overtaking. He opens DRS and completes the overtaking fairly easily, pretty easily. He was faster. Now he is trying to pull away, because Ryan K will have a DRS in a few corners. So Matt still in the lead, and he hasn't stopped yet, because his stint will be longer on medium tires than the drivers who started on soft tires. Alphamut K up in second place, but Alphamut K is 20 seconds away. Alphamut K is getting closer, because safety car deployed, and that means that Matt can pit and rejoin in P1. So this completely changes the race. This is very lucky for Matt and pretty unexpected. I'm completely sure that Matt will decide to pit right now. There's no way that Matt is not going to pit. He knows that. He was very lucky, because he would have been in second place after the stop. He would have been on soft tires, so he had the chance to win. But with a safety car, this means that Matt was gifted the lead. I'm completely sure that he will rejoin in first place, but let's see. No, Alphamut K decides to pit because he knows that he wouldn't have been first, because when there is a safety car you have to respect the delta time. So he was driving, he was forced to drive pretty slowly, and Matt had the time to pit and still come out in first place. I don't know what the Mercedes mechanics are still doing there. No, that was the Haas garage, not the Mercedes garage. So Matt was gifted the lead. Matt was gifted the lead by this safety car caused by Scaife. So this changed the whole dynamic of the race, because Matt was gifted the lead. Matt, Chris Agerbo, Alpmut K. So Chris Agerbo also ahead of Alpmut K. And I was saying that probably Chris Agerbo didn't pit, and that's why, yes, he is on medium tires, so Chris Agerbo didn't pit, so that's why he happens to be in second place, splitting Matt and Alpmut K. So that might cause more issues for Alpmut K, because he will have to overtake Chris Agerbo. So Alpmut K doesn't have the chance to stay close to Matt at the restart. There is going to be at least another lap under safety car, because the safety car didn't turn towards the pit lane entry. So Matt in the lead, Chris Agerbo splitting the 2 stars of the league. Then Gogs. Hughes moves up in 5th place, but with a penalty. Jamie James also has a penalty. Orb King has been pretty... how do you say it? He hasn't had a very intense race. He has been in the middle of the group for most of the race, but he is still in the title fight, and he is by far the most consistent driver. He barely makes any mistakes. So he still is in the fight for the final title. Then Lucas, LA, Ryan K, Calzo down in 10th place. He probably lost some motivation after that he had a drive-through penalty. Then Spike and Unuflo. We'll see if the safety car will be back in this lap. We have to wait a few seconds more. I think the safety car should drive in this lap, because, and indeed we get the message, so the race can finally restart. Hughes moves also almost did a stroll, because he nearly crashed into Gogs under safety car. Probably Gogs was slowing down too much. But now we are focusing on the lead, because Matt is controlling the pace. The safety car is driving back to the garage. Matt is controlling the pace. He knows that there is Chris Agerbo behind, and Chris Agerbo is on medium tires, so he probably isn't going to have the speed to put Matt under pressure, and Alpmut K has already overtaken. Alpmut K has already overtaken Cla-ita-ACC, but Cla-ita-ACC takes second place again. So Alpmut K is now losing time with Cla-ita-ACC fighting Cla-ita-ACC, and this looks like a karting race with everyone in the group. I think someone got damage because I saw a piece of a front wing flying around. Now Orb King gains 6th place. Orb King up in 6th place, and I think he is faster than Gox, maybe also faster than Jamie James, and Cla-ita-ACC is on medium tires, so this means that Orb King might get the podium. So Alpmut K has now got rid of Cla-ita-ACC, so Alpmut K can chase Matt. Alpmut K can chase Matt. Let's see if Alpmut K has the speed to chase Matt and then overtake Matt. There isn't many laps left, and even though there isn't a huge gap, Alpmut K and Matt are very similar in terms of speed, both in qualifying and both during the race, so it's going to be pretty difficult for Alpmut K to close that gap because they are almost equally fast. Now Spike completed a very nice overtake, and Spike is now up in 7th place behind Orb King, ahead of Hughes Moves and Lucas LA. Now Lucas LA busy with Hughes Moves, but Lucas LA gets past. Probably gets past Yas in the inside. So Alpmut K really is getting close to Matt. I think that Matt doesn't have a very strong pace this time, because he was already complaining before qualifying and saying that Alpmut K was going to be faster than him around Silverstone, which is what happened. And now Alpmut K also is getting close very quickly, but there isn't many laps left. And Alpmut K still doesn't have a DRS. Of course, Matt knows that Alpmut K is very close, so he will try to not give his DRS. Another safety car. I'm not sure, no one retired. Maybe Unuflo, because I see a yellow point on the map, which might indicate the McLaren. Yes, Unuflo has left the session, so it was Unuflo that made the safety car go out. Now Calzo pitting again. It's been a nightmare race for Calzo. After that he was all over the back of Alpmut K at the very beginning of the race, and he had the pace to keep up with Alpmut K, so without that penalty we might have seen a completely different race. There has been quite a few things that have changed the race. Calzo's penalty, then also the safety car that gifted Matt the lead of the race. So it's been a pretty weird race. Now Calzo, even outside the top 10, he is on soft tires, so why is he almost stopping? What is he doing? Hughes moves back to the pits as well, and he will be switching to soft tires. I don't know what Calzo was doing, he almost stopped on track. So Calzo will be starting after the safety car. Calzo will be on soft tires and very close to the group. So Calzo might still have the opportunity to end up in the top 10, which might be a minimal satisfaction for him. Back to the front of the group, we have Matt and Alpamut K. Now Matt will be under serious pressure because Alpamut K will be all over the back and there is not Cla-ita-ACC splitting them anymore. So Alpamut K will be right behind of Matt at the restart. I think the safety car is going to be on track for another lap because we got the message at the Becketts before. So yes, the safety car doesn't drive in, so there is going to be at least another lap under safety car. So this is what Matt wants, because the more time goes by, the more laps go by, the harder it will be for Alpamut K. And also when the safety car drives out, when the safety car drives in, when the safety car goes back to the garage, drives back to the garage, sorry. When the safety car drives back to the garage, you don't have DRS immediately. It's like when the race actually begins and you have to wait 2 laps for the DRS to be enabled. So it's going to be difficult for Alpamut K because he won't have DRS when the safety car drives back to the garage. So he will have to wait at the very end for DRS, which means that he probably will have to try to overtake Matt without DRS. Even with DRS, it's always pretty difficult to overtake Matt, so it's going to be even more difficult without DRS. We'll see if the safety car is going to be on track for another lap, because this is where we got the message before. And there is 4 laps left at the moment. It's going to be 3 laps left at the end of this one. Safety car in this lap, safety car in this lap. So there is 4 laps left at the moment, but it's going to be 3 laps left when the race restarts. So Alpamut K all over the back of Matt. Cla-ita-ACC now behind Matt and Alpamut K, still on medium tires. Then Jimmy James has a penalty, probably a 3-second time penalty. Matt is already under pressure. Alpamut K wants to stay as close as possible. Matt kind of surprised Alpamut K. He accelerated after that, he braked. So Matt really gained a huge lead at the restart. He was pretty good. You saw how Matt really pulled away at the restart. He played it very nicely. So Matt, Alphamut K, Chris Agerbo, Jamie James, Orbeking up in 5th place. And now Calzo tries to go around the outside of Hughes moves. Let's see what is going to happen. Calzo now is going to be on the outside line. It's difficult to overtake on the outside here, but Calzo doesn't get intimidated, and there was a collision. So Hughes moves is going to be pretty angry, I think, because he always gets angry when something like this happens to him, and I think Calzo was very aggressive there. Probably still some frustration because of how his race went, considering he had the pace to challenge Alphamut K and Matt. Actually, Alphamut K has been faster this round, so if he was fast enough to challenge Alphamut K, he probably was even faster than Matt. Spike gets another time penalty. So there is going to be only 2 laps left, and I think Alphamut K doesn't have DRS. Indeed, this is the DRS zone, but DRS still hasn't been enabled, so Alphamut K couldn't use DRS to get closer, so he needs to overtake Matt in old style, like in the early it was until 10 years ago. Now Orbeking all over the back of Jamie James. Jamie James has a penalty, so this means that Orbeking will be in 4th place, but at the same time, because Jamie James is holding Orbeking back, this means that Orbeking can't attack Chris Agerbo for the podium. So Jamie James is actually protecting Chris Agerbo. DRS enabled, and Matt hasn't been able to pull away from Alphamut K. This means that Alphamut K will have DRS. He will have DRS here, and also after the Beckett's corners. So Alphamut K is going to use DRS, and let's see how close he gets. There is only 1 lap left, so it's going to be pretty difficult for Alphamut K. I personally don't think that Alphamut K will get past, because overtaking is always a whole different story, and he didn't really have enough time. It might have been a different story without the safety car, but there isn't much track left. And Matt, unbelievable, Matt has just got a penalty because he cut the corner. Matt just has got a penalty because he cut the corner, so this is very unbelievable, because Matt is going to lose the race. He wasn't very smart there, but he was also under pressure. That is a weird ending to the race because of how Matt lost. He really hasn't been lucky with penalties lately. It's a pretty weird way to lose a race, and the hits happened twice in a row. Twice. It happened at Austria, like I said, in qualifying with Lucas, and now it's happened again. So very weird ending to the race, from 1st to 3rd without losing positions on track. So he might have been colder under pressure there. He really lost the race in a weird way. I didn't think we would be commentating on that, but this is the final result. In the end, Matt lost the race, and he didn't even keep a second place. So Alpamut K, Chris Acerbo, Matt, and then Orb King didn't get the podium.